Libya. In Tunis this Wednesday, the swearing in of a new technocratic government approved overnight by the Constituent Assembly. Months and months of political gridlock came to a head after several political assassinations. But now the Islamists of Ennahda agreeing to cede power under a deal that paves the way for elections before the end of the year. Prime Minister Mehdi Joma.
The Constituent Assembly has granted its backing to a new government, and this will, I hope, be the last transitional government. Its mission is to prepare the next elections and bring permanent stability to Tunisia. The session was long. We had a lot of discussion and dialogue with members of the Assembly who gave us a clear show of trust. We hope to overcome the many difficulties of the moment, together with our fellow Assembly members, but also with all Tunisians.
And again, this coming on the heels of the passage, painstaking passage, you might say, article by article, of that new Tunisian constitution.
It's been a long time coming. Finally, Tunisia has adopted its new constitution. The vote was preceded by months of heated debate on key issues, notably the place of religion in the country. The document opens by declaring Islam the official faith of Tunisia, but Article 6 guarantees freedom of religion.
The state protects religion, guarantees freedom of belief and conscience and religious practices.
Yet even that has its limitations, because the constitution also states that any future president must be Muslim.
Running for the position of President of the Republic shall be a right entitled to every male and female voter who holds Tunisian nationality since birth, whose religion is Islam.
And while Article 15 guarantees the impartiality of schools and universities,
the state guarantees the impartiality of educational institutions away from partisan instrumentalization.
Article 38 is designed to ensure students are taught about Arab Islamic identity and history.
The state shall work to embed youth in the Arab Islamic identity and strengthen and promote the Arabic language and expand its usage.
But even secular lawmakers are satisfied with the text. Rim Majoub says the interpretation and application of the constitution is key.
A constitution is not enough to achieve democracy. It's simply a text. It must be applied. It must be used properly. And we have to get used to democracy. This is a real test. We started 2 years ago, when everyone had their own ideas, their own plans, and there was a split at one point. No one wanted to cede any power to anyone else, and now we've managed to get around the table and come to a compromise.
Many female MPs are pleased with the provisions for women in the Constitution, like Article 45, which states,
the state commits to protecting women's achieved rights and seeks to support and develop them. The state guarantees equal opportunities between men and women.
The text also promises the state will seek equality of representation between the sexes and will work to eliminate violence against women.
And we can go to Tunis, and a member of that Constituent Assembly, Monsef Sheikh Ruhu. Pleasure to have you, sir. Congratulations
same here.
On the passage of that Constitution. When you look now, with the dust settling a little bit, what broke the deadlock in your view?
Well, what broke the deadlock was with the decision by Tunisians to necessarily succeed in the transition towards democracy. It was written in the lines of the revolution when I was kindly invited by France 24 to be with you when I was staying full-time in Paris. And now we have done our job as representatives of the people in the national constitutional assembly. So we are at the same time constituents. We wrote the constitution, but we do our job as a parliament as well, and we are controlling the executive. Tunisians have decided that democracy has to be built entirely. That's what made it succeed.
But when you look back, there was months and months of political gridlock. Then there was, on the one hand, domestically, those political assassinations that outraged so many. And of course, on the foreign scene, what happens in Egypt.
Yes, completely. What happened in Egypt was what can be called in French a repoussoir, was telling the Tunisians, if you do not carry the democratic transition fully, then there are some people that are lurking somewhere. And in Egypt, of course, there is an army that owns such a large section of the economy that it is very, very dangerous once they seize power again. While in Tunisia, the army, the National Guard, and the police are really belonging to the people, and it was important to have them play their Republican role. And the second reason you said that has taken some time, and thank you for asking that. Some people forget that the Constitution was ready since the month of September 2012. We could have made the mistake to have voted on it and implemented it. Then the right of minorities, the right of civil societies would have been forgotten, as it happened in Egypt under the Morsi Constitution. Here, we elected to go around all Tunisia every Sunday, every Saturday, and discuss with people who are criticizing us very harshly, discuss with Salafists who are not, of course, violent, who are telling us, no, we don't need you, we have the Sharia. Discuss with people who are against the existence of religion. So we were talking with all Tunisia, and the constitution we have reached is the result of all those trial and errors that I think will fit 99% of the Tunisians and not 63%, as was the case in Egypt, with 37% of the communities that were forgotten, like the other religions in Egypt.
Monsef, are you personally in favor or against the article that says the president has to be a Muslim?
Well, you see, we are in a country that has an origin. In 1930, this country, like Algeria and Morocco, was a colony, and colonization, you cannot imagine what it was. So it has been decided in 1930 that the only way to keep it as a colony was to force people to turn Christian in Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco, and there was the Eucharistic Congress in Carthage. And then Tunisians have reacted, not because of religion, but because of their roots. And the roots were touched, and Bourguiba in 1934 created his party for the liberation of Tunisia. Since then, Tunisians have not been asking for Islam. They have been asking for democracy. They have been asking for a parliament, and they've been asking for a constitution. So this is what is important. I hope that our sons, or maybe the younger generations, will remove that, because Tunisians should be Tunisians all the time. The Constitution does not please me personally 100%, but it will please no one 100%. It will please some others. Personally, I hope this very, very soon, by the next generation, should be removed. But in France, 3 years after the revolution of 1789, people were cutting heads in Place de Grève. So luckily, we're avoiding this in Tunis here.
Nobody's cutting heads, but there are a lot of demonstrations, a lot of strikes, a lot of pressure to get the economy rolling again. How quick can you have those presidential and legislative elections?
This is a good question. People are eager to get back to real economics, to jobs, and to wealth creation. And thank you for reminding us that the revolution took place because Tunisians wanted dignity. Dignity is a job and a good income. And therefore, this cannot happen when disorder is here, when terrorism is violating the Tunisians. Our colleague Mohamed Brahmi was shot with 14 bullets on the 25th of July, but this did not work. All Tunisia stood against that, and the body of Tunisia is very, very sane. So what we are saying is that all the 217 persons in the parliament, we are willing to give our life if Tunisia gets to the democratic, transparent, peaceful, economically feasible transition, and we're getting there now.
Monsef Sheikhrou, you sound like a man who's running for parliament.
I am in parliament.
But are you running in the legislative elections at the end of the year?
The election will be between 7 to 9 months from now. We have decided, all of us together, to have a government of technocrats, of very highly skilled specialists from around the world, Tunisians, that arrived, and they are very competent, and they are going to be doing a great job. This is why we voted them. We voted the confidence for them last night, very, very late. But once their job is finished, the representativity of the people has to come back. So the elections, yes, will be coming. We're going to have a presidential election. Maybe I can run there. We will have a legislative election to determine the government. We're going to have a regional election to have the regions' parliaments, and we're going to have the municipality election. Then Tunisia will be fully governed by elected bodies.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. You're not getting a firm commitment from you, but we're reading between the lines of what you're saying there. Monsef Sheikh Rouhou, many, many thanks for joining us from Tunis.
Thank you so very much for the invitation. I did appreciate it.
All right. Coming up next, we'll have more news, sports, and the signing by Paris Saint-Germain of Newcastle midfielder Yohan Cabaye. Stay with us.